Ours Garage. In this video, I'll be unboxing the Team Associated RC28. So let's get started. So the RC28 is a 1/28 scale pan car essentially. So it comes in this nice box, probably the nicest box for a 1/28 scale kit. So this is a kit, so that means no body, no ESC, electronics, servo, receiver, battery, and all that stuff. So we have some information on the side of the box. So it uses a steel chassis, and what I've noticed, that chassis is very similar to the geometry of a reflex car. The front end is a kingpin design, and they have adjustable caster and camber upper arm inserts essentially. The rear pod is adjustable in terms of height using some shims. We have a threaded aluminum center shock that you can adjust the droop and stuff. This looks very similar to how Reflex Racing does theirs. And what's cool about this car that's different than most is that it has torsion style side links. So basically your side links, instead of just being links, they're actually the spring itself. So it comes with 3 options: soft, medium, and hard. Basically tells you the same information here. The only thing different on this side is saying that it has optimized steering geometry with adjustable servo mount to tune the Ackerman on the fly. This is basically the same way that Reflex Racing does their Ackerman or mount their servo. So you can just move the servo front to back. So there's 3 seals, one right here, one right here, and then one right here. So let's go ahead and open it up and take a closer look at what comes in the box. So one thing I like so far about the kit is the price. When introduced, it was basically $250, where the other cars in this market are roughly $400, $500, or even more than that. I think some of the Reflex cars are nearly $550 nowadays. My own GL Racing GTR, I believe, has about $500 in the chassis alone in terms of upgrades. All right, so we have a nice little scale sticker sheet, which is kind of cool. I didn't realize it. I've only seen the large 1/10 scale or 8 scale sticker sheets from Associated, so seeing this 1/28 size is actually kind of cool. All right, so here's bag 1, and it looks like we have our chassis along with our different side links, soft, medium, hard, as well as our servo horn. And this servo horn looks pretty much identical to how Reflex Racing does their servo horn. I'm not a huge fan of that style just because there is no servo saver, and if you end up going into a wall really hard, you can end up damaging your servo, and I've seen that happen plenty of times. There's also some carbon bits in here, looks like for the battery mount system. And it looks like maybe the center shock mount is in here as well in bag 1. So there's not very many bags, which I kind of like. It should be a pretty quick build. Let's find bag 2. Here's bag 2. Looks like we have the rear mount for where the rear pod is going to install into, as well as some Lexan body mounts. And it looks like we've got some carbon pieces in here, so you might need to, depending on, so this piece here will be used for your auto scale bodies, and the side links, or not the side links, the side shocks will probably install onto this piece here. Bag 3, we have the rear pod itself. So it looks like pretty much this is all the rear pod and some bearings in there as well. Nicely anodized blue. This is also kind of a similar design as to how Reflex does their rear pod. So it'll be interesting to put this together. Bag 4 looks like the front end and front bulkhead. So it's nice to see that it comes with the front bulkhead. Ooh, blue anodized axles. That's interesting. We've got plastic knuckles. We have a carbon fiber front bumper if we're going to use it for a Lexan body, which is nice that they included that because that's usually, you know, anywhere from a $10 to $20 option part. Also have some Lexan body mounts in here, and the upper arms for the suspension looks like they've included maybe 5 different ones. So it'll be interesting to open up and see what camber caster options are included. Bag 5 looks like the center shock. And probably maybe the side shocks as well. Yes, the side shocks are in here as well. Bag 6 is the gear differential, which I'm pretty excited about. It looks like they are metal gears. That is interesting. So I believe it's kind of a similar design to how Reflex does their gear diff. I think the Reflex gear diff is a piece of art and in terms of mechanical design and how it goes together. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes on and feels once it's built. But it's nice to see that it has metal gears, and some of these pieces are anodized aluminum as well. So pretty excited to see how this works. So that was bag 6. Bag 7, surprisingly, it comes with wheels, and there's associated own style of wheels. Looks like maybe a 3 offset in the rear and a 0 offset front wheel, as well as some body pins and wheel nuts. And then bag 8 has some shock fluid. I think this is the 30K fluid that's supposed to go in the center shock. Yeah, 30K. Also nice that it comes with, it says bag manual, but I think it's just the QR code for you to scan and get your manual online. The other nice thing is they include some bit of double-sided tape to install your electronics. So you'll probably need this for your ESC and receiver. So that's it for the unboxing. I'm pretty excited. Very similar to one of the stock spec style Reflex cars. The Reflex stock spec car that I'm talking about, the chassis is flat like this. It's not a tub chassis. So I think this car would really excel in, say, a 2500 class, 2500 LiPo class. Not sure how well it will do in like a 3500 class. For me, I personally like my cars to be a little heavier in a 3500 LiPo class or in a mod class. When I'm talking about weight in a 3500 class, which this is my GL GTR, And if you look at the bottom, the chassis, I'm using the brass winglets on the chassis. When I ran this car in 2500 LiPo class, I used the carbon winglets, and the car was very competitive. So much so that I could run it up a class and probably make the A main with the 2500 and the 3500 class. But when I moved to the 3500 in this chassis, I feel like it was overpowering the chassis and it needed a little bit more weight. So with the brass winglets and that added weight, it's definitely more stable. So it'll be nice to see, well, it'll be interesting to see how this car does in a 3500 LiPo class or mod. I don't know exactly what motor I'm going to put in here for now. I have cars for every class, 2500 LiPo, 3500 LiPo, and I have a mod car which is a 5500 motor in there. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to put on in this, but I will definitely, from my experience, feel like this would be a great entry-level car for a 2500 LiPo class. Simple front end since it's a Kingpin. This front end and some of the reflex cars have that dual A arm. So I think this would be great for entry-level class, considering it comes with a gear diff, which usually engages quicker than a ball diff. There's less slip. So this would be great for a 2500 class. And at this price point of $250, imagine it might go up with the next batch, just because I believe they sold out their first batch. They might want to make a little bit more money. So I still think at, say, $300, this is a great option because, like I said, you know, a GL, GLR, or GL GTR, which are great options, or the GL LMP2, you're still going to spend roughly $400 on the chassis. The kit doesn't come with a brass chassis. It comes with a carbon chassis, which they do that so that way if people are playing at their house and not on RCP, they can do that with a cheaper price point. That's why the GTR kit, I believe, is like $220 or something like that, or the GL GLR is about $189. But you still need a few upgrades to make both of those work on RCP. At a minimum, brass chassis and servo saver. So I think Associated giving everything that you need in the box to race, whether you want to run an auto scale or GL plastic body, or if you want to run a Lexan body, everything's in the box, so that's pretty cool. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you did. Stay tuned. Hit that bell icon to get notifications on the next video. I'll be doing a build series on this car, so if you need help or you just want to see how it goes together, you can follow along. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.